Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our podcast. We are your host. I'm Cyrus Atanacio.
And I'm Jam Cuenco, and this is
Open
Open Up
up
with
with your
Your
homies.
Homies.
A podcast where we talk about a topic that everyone can agree of having or at least experience through contemplating life, which is anxiety.
For this episode, our guest is Mr. Bion Landicho, a professional psychologist as well as a consistent university teacher, and I hope he will enjoy his time in our podcast. So, how is your sleep schedule, sir? Now that you both have to be a psychologist and a teacher, tell us what you do now these days.
It's gotten a bit better. It is a progression that teaching is a gateway for me. As if I was a normal high schooler like the ones that I actually teach. I would go to sleep probably around 11 p.m. I always like staying up late. Well, it is always in my blood, but I would keep myself under control. Wake up at 6:30 a.m.
Mm. Oh, that's good. But now that you are a psychologist and a teacher, you really need to control your time management. Let me share something with you guys. Sleeping is actually the first key to at least letting away the anxiety that's building up on you. You should start your day fresh and carefree about anything just by spreading positive vibes will make the rest of your day better. It sounds that simple, but sometimes anxiety still attacks us, even at the peaceful time of our lives. That's why we're gonna tackle it today on this broadcast, starting with what is anxiety?
To start off, let me ask you this question. What really is anxiety? Because we have our own perception of something. Some say it's only in our mind, but the majority say it's fact that everybody can encounter anxiety. So please enlighten us, especially those listeners who experience this type of mental disorder.
Now think, you're in a situation in your life right now where you feel the odds are against you and hope is lost. Visualize the things that can happen in life where you'll suddenly find yourself at the downside of hope. It could be a loss of someone or something dear to you, or circumstances that is too much to bear. Some things that are not working out, a pace where you got stuck and can't see any path forward. A feeling that you are all by yourself or a total loss of interest in life.
Oh, so you're saying that it is the harmful effect caused by bad experiences in the past and even the unpleasant situation that a person faces in the present? Is that it?
Definitely correct.
Okay, now that we know the definition of anxiety, tell us, is it just a state of mind, a mindset of people, or is it a problem that is eating our society nowadays?
Yes, it is a state of mind. The real problem in society is the people themselves. Modern people forgot the term mental health, like how people judge someone based on their physical appearance, but not what's inside. It's the same with mental health. Just because someone is using a fake smile, a mask to cover his or her true feelings, but it is not what they're really at in terms of mental stability and state right now.
Yeah, now you mention it, we are in the world right now, where things advance so fast, but we forget to tackle things that really matter, especially ourselves.
It's just like we are becoming a robot. where we are constantly losing our emotions just to cope up every day.
But we are not robots. We have a breaking point where things get out of hand, and unfortunately, some even fall into depression.
Now, this is why it's important for us to know what are the factors that cause anxiety, to prevent it, and formulate solution for this mental disorder. Topic 2. What are the factors that cause anxiety?
Moving on, let's talk about what causes anxiety before we aired this episode. We did some research about this topic and we found out that social anxiety is common in our society. What is this, sir?
Okay, in this type of anxiety, people experience insecurities during some specific type of social activities. You may ask yourself, do you find it hard to socialize with other people? Do you feel overwhelmed at the thought of going to social event? While answering this in your mind, you realize that it has something to do with shyness. But of course, they are different. Shyness is a personal trait, while social anxiety is a mental illness. Here are some possible causes of your social anxiety. First is fear in people's impressions. With the constant fear of people's judgment, you may even be afraid to do well to avoid drawing attention. You don't pitch ideas at meetings, raise your hand in class, or join clubs because of how much anxiety it creates.
I suddenly remembered that one kid from my previous school, when I last visited, she's not interested in class participation and school clubs, even though she's the smartest among her classmates. I think she's suffering from this kind of anxiety. Anyways, please continue. Sorry for interrupting.
Oh, that's okay. It's good to have a story that is relevant to the topic. Secondly, you avoid interaction with others. You turn down invitations, refuse to speak in front of people, and prepare to sit in the back of the room by yourself rather than socialize with others.
Does it include your own birthday, a typical day at work or school, or even your wedding day?
Yes, it doesn't matter, since the craving of the common socialization can cause great self anxiety.
Oh, okay. Please continue.
And lastly, you constantly feel subconscious. The intense worry of being judged is one symptom of social anxiety. If you suffer from social anxiety, you'll worry a lot about how come across and how you behave with other people.
Oh, just like your greatest worry is seeming foolish in front of others. On other hand, compared to a shy person which only worries about being judged in specific settings, such as public speaker or when they first meet someone, right?
Exactly.
And for the last topic, and the most important part to understand by people, how can we overcome this battle, sir? Is there any medication to lessen this disorder?
There are a few things you could do. You might begin by talking to someone you trust. It's just that having someone to listen to you and show they care has a huge impact to be relieved. You could also try breathing exercises. Breathing exercises can help you cope and feel more in control. That's why when we are angry about something, we just take a deep breath and it feels like everything is under control. Keeping a diary or making a note of what's going well will help you in times of anxiety attacks because there are notes you can read to encourage you to fight the silent battle of yours. Lastly, the very effective way to treat this illness is to try peer support. It has something to do with people you've had similar experiences to support each other. You can help people when you feel what they feel.
Wow, it's good to know that there are ways to fight anxiety, since it's not a joke to have this, but at least they can help themselves.
Indeed. Thank you, sir, for sharing your knowledge for the sake of our listeners who have anxiety.
And now, let's summarize everything that Sir Landicho said earlier, for those people who were late to listen to our podcast. So basically, anxiety is a negative side effect brought on by terrible past events as well as undesirable situations encountered in the present that she or he finds difficult to cope with. In terms of factor that cause anxiety, social anxiety is the most common in our society. Anything else, partner?
Oh, yes, partner. If you ever feel dread, as perceived by others, you always keep your distance from socialization and you undergo continual self consciousness, then probably you'll suffer from anxiety without noticing it. When it comes to treatment, as Mr. Landicho shared information, I learned something. When treating anxiety, you might begin by thinking back on those fantasies. Place yourself in a comfortable position, take a few deep breaths to help you relax a bit, and then allow those thoughts to surface. Once you are aware of what they are, you can watch them like a movie. Watch them let the entire fantasy play out. Even if it's scary, continue and see what's happened at the end. It won't be simple, so take your time and gradually use your insecurities to get better. Use the very anxiety we have as the very solution to the problem. Take criticisms and insecurities as a list of how and what you should do to improve in life. We are aware that life is difficult, yet, even small lessons can help us get through the day.
Very well said, partner. And now, before I end this podcast, since we almost hit our time, you know, may I ask each one of you to leave a quote to encourage and give hope to our listeners?
Well, there are so many events that invited me to share my knowledge about anxiety. And before I end my talk, I leave them one of my favorite quotes that even me is encouraged to live long. Trust yourself. You've survived a lot, and you'll survive whatever is coming. By Robert too. It's very inspiring, isn't it? You have survived once. It is not unlikely that you can do it again and again until you are no longer afraid of its attack.
What an amazing quote came from Sir Landicho. Well, for me, since I don't know any quotes that came from an influencer, I just made my own a while ago. Getting it off your chest seems to help relieve some of the pressure. I remember that Sir Landicho said that trying to talk to someone you trust helps you to cope with this kind of illness.
Oh, that's nice. And for me, since I love searching quotes from different influencers, here's mine. You're a fighter. Look at everything you've ever come. Don't give up now by Olivia Benson. It's like we should stay focused on the positive side and leave the negativity behind.
Well, that's it. Guess we can finally end this podcast. We hope you enjoy and get knowledge about the topic we discussed in this episode. And also, thank you for accepting our invitation to share your wisdom with us, sir. Bion Landicho.
It's an honor to be a guest on your podcast. Thank you for inviting me also.
Additionally, we would like to thank Jordan Peterson and Chloe Avenasa, who deserve credits because they provided some of the information we use in this podcast.
That's it, guys. Thank you for listening and supporting our podcast. We hope you will stay tuned until the end. We will meet you again next time only on our podcast. Again, this is your host. I'm Jam Cuenco.
And I'm Cyrus Atanacio, and this is Open Up with Your Homies.